All right, Browns fans, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you is going to shake up everything you thought you knew about this team's quarterback situation. We're not talking rumors here. We're not talking speculation. This is real, this is happening, and it's about to turn Cleveland football completely upside down. Deshaun Watson is back. Not just back on the roster, not just back at practice, but legitimately back in the conversation to be your starting quarterback when the season kicks off. And before you throw your phone across the room, hear me out, because this story has layers you need to understand. Todd Monkin, the man calling the shots on offense now, just went on record saying he's intrigued by the idea of unlocking the Pro Bowl version of Deshaun Watson. Not the guy we've watched struggle in Cleveland. Not the guy who couldn't stay healthy. The version from Houston who threw 33 touchdowns against just 7 picks and racked up nearly 5,000 yards in a single season. That guy. The one who looked unstoppable. Monkin said it himself. When you have a player like Deshaun who's now fully healthy and clear to throw, you'd love to tap back into that elite form. That's not coach speak. That's a declaration of intent. Watson's not just hanging around the facility collecting checks anymore. He's being positioned as a legitimate option to lead this offense day one. Now, I know what half of you are thinking right now. You're thinking this is insane. You're thinking Watson had his chance and he blew it. You're thinking we drafted Shedeur Sanders for a reason, and we should be building around him, not resurrecting a guy who hasn't looked like himself in years. And trust me, I get it. But here's what makes this story so wild. Watson is actually healthy for the first time, in what feels like forever. All his legal issues have been resolved. The cases are dropped. He's cleared for football activities. He's throwing again. This isn't some wishful thinking from the front office. This is a guy who's ready to compete, and Monkin believes he can bring out the best in him. Let's talk about Monkin for a second, because this is critical. This is the same offensive mind who turned Lamar Jackson into an MVP. The same guy who took Stetson Bennett, a guy nobody believed in, and built an offense that maximized every ounce of his talent. Monkin knows how to adapt. He knows how to scheme around his quarterback's strengths. And when he looks at Watson, even after everything that's happened, he sees a guy who at his peak was elite at evading pressure, making plays on the move, and creating explosive moments. That's exactly what Monkin values in a quarterback. So if anyone can revive Watson, if anyone can pull off this resurrection story, it's probably him. But let's not sugarcoat the reality here. The idea of Watson jogging out of that tunnel for the home opener while Shedeur Sanders sits on the bench is going to ignite a firestorm. Picture that moment. Picture the reaction. You think the fans are going to welcome him with open arms? You think there's going to be a standing ovation? This is Cleveland. This fan base has been through too much, has waited too long, and has had their patience tested over and over again. If Watson starts week 1 and struggles, if he looks anything like the guy who posted a 21.0 QBR last season, the boos will rain down before halftime. The pressure will be suffocating. And Monkin knows it. But here's the thing, you don't make decisions based on fan sentiment. You make decisions based on who gives you the best chance to win football games. And that's where this quarterback battle gets absolutely fascinating. This isn't just window dressing. This is real competition. Watson is healthy and hungry to prove everyone wrong. But Shedeur Sanders isn't backing down either. The kid showed flashes last season despite playing behind an offensive line that was falling apart. Deep throws, composure in the pocket, a competitive fire that you can't teach. He's got 3 years left on his rookie deal, which means the Browns don't have to rush him into the fire. But they also don't have to hold him back if he's ready to take over. Even Deion Sanders weighed in recently, telling his son to put his head down and grind. That's exactly what Shedeur's doing. He's preparing like he's the starter. He's competing like the job is his to take. So what happens if Shedeur actually wins this battle? What if he outplays Watson in camp and forces Monkin's hand? Then all of this Watson talk becomes irrelevant. The job goes to the rookie, and we're watching the beginning of a new era in Cleveland. But if Watson wins it fair and square, if he looks sharp in practice and makes all the right throws in the preseason, then maybe this becomes a developmental year for Shedeur. Maybe he sits, he learns, he absorbs everything he can from watching Watson and Monkin work together. That's not the worst thing in the world. We've seen it work before. Jordan Love sat behind Aaron Rodgers and learned. When his time came, he was ready. That could be the blueprint here. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room that nobody's really addressing. Dillon Gabriel. If Watson and Sanders are your top 2 quarterbacks, Gabriel becomes expendable. Kevin Stefanski was reportedly the biggest advocate for drafting Gabriel. Stefanski's gone. Monkin didn't draft him. There's no emotional attachment here. If the Browns are looking to trim the quarterback room down to 2 guys, which makes sense, Gabriel's the odd man out. Don't be shocked if you start hearing trade rumors involving him. Atlanta's been mentioned as a possible destination. Maybe somewhere else. But the writing's on the wall. Here's something else worth remembering about Watson that people tend to forget when they're busy criticizing him. He's never been benched while healthy in Cleveland. Not once. Even when he was struggling, even when the numbers were terrible, the organization kept him as the starter every time he was physically able to play. That tells you something about how they view him internally. That trust hasn't completely disappeared. And if Monkin can tap into even 80% of what Watson used to be, if he could design an offense that protects him and plays to his strengths, this whole thing might actually work. But let's also be brutally honest about the stakes here. Watson is in the final year of that massive contract. After this season, he hits free agency unless Cleveland extends him. And yeah, extension talk is already floating around. If Watson somehow plays at a Pro Bowl level and leads this team to 10 wins, you better believe those conversations will happen. That's the carrot dangling in front of him right now. One great season could set him up for another payday and cement his legacy in Cleveland. But if he fails, if this turns into another disaster, then it's not just Watson who takes the fall. Monkin's reputation takes a hit. The front office looks foolish for believing in him again. And the entire franchise gets dragged back into chaos. That's why this decision feels so much bigger than just picking a starting quarterback. This is about identity. This is about direction. Are the Browns ready to hand the keys to Shedeur Sanders and build around a young, hungry quarterback who represents the future? Or are they betting one more time on the idea that Deshaun Watson still has greatness left in him? Both paths come with massive risk. Both paths could blow up in their faces. But one of them has to be chosen. And you know what makes this whole situation even crazier? The fact that we're having this conversation at all. A few months ago, most people assumed Shedeur was going to be the starter, and Watson would either be traded or riding the bench. Now we're talking about a legitimate quarterback competition with legitimate consequences for everyone involved. Training camp is going to be must-watch. Every throw matters. Every rep matters. Every interview matters. Because whoever wins this job isn't just winning a starting spot. They're defining the next chapter of Browns football. So where do you stand on this, Browns fans? Do you believe Todd Monkin can actually resurrect Deshaun Watson and turn him back into the player he was in Houston? Or do you think it's time to move on, hand the offense to Shedeur Sanders, and start building toward the future? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because I want to hear from you. And while you're down there, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Browns Breakout, and turn on notifications so you never miss a breakdown like this. We've got a wild ride ahead of us this season, and you're going to want to be here for every second of it. Let's see who wins this battle. Let's see who earns the trust of the locker room, the coaches, and most importantly, the fans. Because Browns fans deserve a quarterback who can lead, who can win, and who can finally bring this franchise back to where it belongs. Go Browns!